People often ask, why did I live in a camper van? And the main reason is I like to be self sufficient, I like to be independent. And at that time, I was growing my online business. My first business, I was a graphic designer. So I was growing that and I was still growing up the clients I had. So I honestly couldn't afford to be living in an apartment and have my own space in an apartment in that way. So that's why I was traveling the world a lot because cost of living is a lot cheaper in the rest of the world than in the States. But then I did want to see this country as well. I was thinking like, man, I can't afford to fly everywhere. But then I had lived in a van in Australia and I would travel around that way. And I realized how cheap and easy it was to be able to see a lot of things. So then that's why I bought a van here. And really, I just wanted to be self sufficient. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted. And for that also meant like cutting down on some of the luxuries of life, I guess. I lived in this like old minivan. It was not nice, but it was all my own. And I was young. I was young 20s. I think I was like 21. And I was so proud of having my own space. And because whenever I would come back to the States from my international travels, I would be living with family. And of course, I have a great family. They're really generous letting you stay there. But you're still living in someone else's home. And it's much better to have your own space. So then you get to make all your own choices. So really, I lived in a van just to be self-sufficient and to be independent and have that feeling of this is mine and this is my responsibility and I'm taking care of this. And for me, the starting point was just a minivan. But now it helped me develop all these skills. So now I take care of several properties here in St. Pete. So starting small and gradually getting more and more skills so then I got bigger and bigger.
Talk about like some of the fun things like a business has allowed you to do.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so people often ask, why am I an entrepreneur? Why am I a business owner? And for me, it's the freedom. It's you have a lot more responsibilities, but a lot more freedom too. And I basically get to work whenever I want, essentially, and then chill whenever I want. And I really like having that balance of you can work hard, play hard, all of that.
Superman, when Superman first came out, they almost took the character off because he was too perfect. So then they created Kryptonite to make him likable because he had a weakness.
Well, hot men are my kryptonite. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of struggles. Um, the by far my biggest mistake was choosing a business partner that didn't align with my integrity and my values in business, and that was such an expensive mistake in emotional turmoil and financial loss. And they both equally cut me, like hurt me and really hurt my ego and made me second guess all of my choices in life. And I lost a lot of my self confidence and my remembrance that I can solve any problem just because of a very deep betrayal. Ugh. That's ugh. Gross.
Yeah.
We're staying in one of my Airbnb right now, and I like to always have little trinkets and little gifts that people can purchase while they're in one of my Airbnbs. Because once they're in the space, then it's like, all right, they're here for the next day, several days. So basically, I want to monetize even more. So for me, I have a very like generous spirit was instilled in me from when I was a child from my parents. I grew up very Christian, and I still have a very close relationship with God. And I sponsor young women, or really young girls, all over the world. I pay for their food and their education, and just give them and their families birthday presents, cash, different things, because I was born with so much in this country, and I've seen so much of the world, and I realized that there's so many people, especially young girls, that don't have access to one, education, and two, just general respect. It's something that we really take for granted in this country. So I want to do my part, and basically what I do is all the proceeds from these shop, they go to support education for these young children around the world. So I make these different gifts and different things, and I have friends that sell as well here. And everything I make goes to support and send these young girls to school. It's very, it it basically is all my passions combined. I really like creating things with my hands, so making these little boxes with different things. I feel like these are a way you can connect with nature and God, which for me is important. And then also proceeds sends young children to school, which is really important. Something you'll always see if you stop at by one of my Airbnbs or if you're just around me for a few minutes. I drink so many of these, honestly. I would say probably like 6 to 8 a day. I have different periods of life. I've had different vices. And right now, this is what I call my vice. It's like I have like so many of these because I just feel like it's a good way for me to give myself a little treat throughout the day, but it's not even bad for you. So I have had these every day for years and years and years, except for when I'm traveling out of the States, then I don't have these and I miss them. So when I come home, this is one of the first things I get at the grocery store, honestly. And I'm really not even like sponsored by them. I'm just such a stan. Like I just really, really love them.
Like soda.
Oh shit.
What happened?
I burned it. I forgot to set a timer.
Oh no. I
Oh
mean,
well.
it might still be good.
It happens.
It's still good.
It's crispy. It's gonna be a crispy pizza.
Yeah.
Because also something about me is
No, that's good still. No,
Okay.
yeah. That's like what is like the Chicago dish? Deep dish.
it's intentional. This is how they do it in Asia.
Mm. Oh really?
No.
Oh.
That does happen a lot when I'm cooking because something about me is I don't really like follow directions or how things are meant to be cooked. So I just kind of like make it up as I go, and that means oftentimes I burn things or ruin it.
It's okay.
Me is being able to solve any problems life throws at you, which doesn't always mean I'll be solving them myself. Sometimes it means asking for help in different ways, or outsourcing different issues, or putting a team together, so then like we can all work on it together. So a good example is when I was putting up my giant geodesic dome at Airbnb. It was a multi-person project. So when I bought the dome, I was like, well, I can't build it myself. So I put together this team of 3 different people, and I actually just had them, like I hired them to do it. And I wasn't even really there on site. I was just putting together a smart team, trusting them to get the project done. So in that way, I felt self-sufficient because I solved the problem myself. I was thinking about how am I going to get this up? And I found different people that were able to assist me and take on the project forward. I feel a lot more empowered in life the more and more self-sufficient I become, because then I just know anything that life throws at me, I can find a solution. Of course, there's still like the moments where you feel so lost and you're just like stuck and you're sitting in bed like I don't know what I'm gonna do about this project or this problem that I just had. Maybe like a family member is sick, or maybe a business partner didn't hold up their end of their agreement. But then you just realize you have all these skills and all these abilities to be able to solve these problems. So no matter what happens, I'll be okay. That's true. Okay, so when I'm building a team for different projects, the way it helps me is I basically think of myself as like a coach, and the teammates are all different players. So for different plays, you're gonna need different players, basically. So I have different people that I will hire project-based. That's my favorite. I don't really like to do hourly because they're just not motivated to work hard. Like it's just anyone that is paid hourly is just gonna drag that on subconsciously or consciously as long as possible. So when people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm 40 an hour or whatever," I just will not hire them. Like it's pretty rare. In the beginning, I did that more, and I just watched the speed and pace of work just not be impressive. So then I basically figured out like, okay, project based, and what I do is I also will motivate. If I really want something done quickly, then I'll do project based with a bonus if they get it done in X amount of time. Because then, if you actually like sit down and you budget out, like okay, say someone is $40 an hour, and they say it's gonna take them, 10 hours. Okay, then that's $400 budget. But say I go to them and I say, okay, I will give you $400 if you get this done today, or I'll give you $400 for this project. I'll give you $450 if you get this done today. So now all of a sudden, a person that was going to take probably a couple days at $40 an hour, because they would probably drag that on and take 2 days, all of a sudden you can get that done for $450 in 1 day instead of having 2 days and then it's $800. Because people are motivated by money, typically, when you're in business. I think everyone has their own motivation. It's not always money, but I'm really motivated by money, and I think people in my life that I like to surround myself are also, because it's just a simpler way to measure different metrics. And I like to do very project-based things for my team. I really don't like doing hourly because there's just no motivation to get it done quickly.
What's that?
The qualities I look for in people on my team is I really like, first of all, talent and skill in what I'm hiring them for, general competency in that area, but also I really like self-sufficiency. Like I like when people can solve small problems themselves and they don't come to me with, oh, this happened. Like, say for example, if I'm hiring someone to build a camper van and then a drill bit broke. I don't want someone to come and tell me, hey, a drill bit broke. I want someone to realize, oh, this broke. Let me see if there's anything here in the shed that can solve the problem. If not, let me go to Home Depot and get a new drill bit and come back. Basically, little things like that, I'm not interested in hearing. I'm really not interested in hearing small problems like that. Like, that just is not a good use of their skill and time and my skill and time. So, looking for talent and general competency in the area I'm hiring them for, self-sufficiency and self-confidence and the ability to solve their own problems. Definitely team player and someone that can just take responsibility when things don't go the way that they imagine they would, because that's also just going to happen in projects. Anytime I start something, there's going to be different problems that come up. I want someone that realizes, oh man, there's a problem. I was imagining I was going to get this done, but now all of a sudden it's raining out and I can't get this done in this time. I want them to basically solve that problem before giving it to me and saying, hey, I wasn't able to finish it because something else came up. I want them to be able to forecast the weather the next few days and realize, oh, it's going to be raining on Thursday. That means I need to work harder on Tuesday and Wednesday in order to get it done. Because if I'm hiring someone to get the project done, I expect it to be done in the time frame that I set and for the price that we agreed on. And something that's really helped me is just create budgets and contracts. When people are held to a contract, they tend to just work a lot better. And then when they come to me with the problems later, then I'll just pull out the contract and say, hey, yeah, maybe that was the problem, but look at this. We both agreed 2.5 weeks ago to this X amount of dollars in X amount of time. And then I'll basically have them look at it with me. And you can do all of this in a kind way that's respectful and respecting the person, their talents, their skills, but also holding them accountable and holding them to what you had agreed on when you first agreed to work together. I expect we will do more and more creative and bigger type projects, which could mean doing tiny homes. It could mean doing unique Airbnbs for people. It could be big RVs, anything like that. Just any kind of interesting creative project we're open to doing, and especially working with people that really respect the creative process and understand we've done this a lot of times and we know what we're doing. That is really the direction I expect this will be heading. And I'm not really like looking at some point I've gotten into like having last year I had a warehouse and full-time employees and it was operating like looking like a big business. That is just not something I really care to be doing again because it just wasn't. It took all the fun out of it for me. All of a sudden, I was doing all the boring parts of the business and none of the fun parts of the business, and that's not why I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, so I get to work on the fun parts and get to like just basically have fun all day and play and just work on interesting projects. So keeping it kind of like a more lean company that is a lot of contract workers and a lot of custom clients, and not as much of a manufacturer as I was a year or two ago. Because we were doing a lot. At some point we were doing 8 camper vans at one time. Like I think we actually had even 9 at once. And yeah, it worked, but it was really not fun for me. I did not enjoy that time of my life for various reasons. But from the outside, like it looked like we were so successful. But it doesn't matter if I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't really care about the level of dollar or success or the clout we got from different news channels. I really care about working with people I enjoy working with and having fun while I'm doing it. That's more important to me than anything. If you would like to work with me in Florida Van Life on creative custom van build, RV build, tiny house, honestly, just come to us and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and we'll talk about if this is something that we're interested in working together on. If you want to work with us, just hit the link in the description, and we'd love to talk more about it.
All the colors.